Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, the Crypto Hipster, Jamil Hassan, where I bring you founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, artists, musicians, you name it, all over the world in crypto and blockchain. And today and the summer season, I am bringing to you a new compilation episode. Last year, from seasons 1, 2, and 3, I brought you the Crypto Hipsters Chronicles. And now, from season 4 and 5, without further ado, I bring you the Crypto Hipsters Mysticals. And what that is, what it was last year, and what it is this year, it's a compilation. It's a compilation of 3 or 4 podcasts together as like a montage. And on a certain topic or area of interest in crypto and blockchain, pulling from my podcasts. And now, as we're heading into the summer of 2023, I bring to you the Crypto Hipsters Mysticals. And there's going to be 22 or 23 or 24 around their episodes. And I look forward to you looking forward to it. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for enjoying my podcasts. And this is going to be a summer treat for everybody. So please sit back, enjoy, and let me know your thoughts. Welcome to Crypto Hipsters Mysticals episode 10. The distance between a JPEG and just a carbon copy of reality is staggering. This episode is a 3-person clip, a 3-podcast clip from 3 guests. First is Amanda Terry, who's the co-founder and COO of Metagood. Second, Gwendolyn Regina, who is an investment director at BNB Chain. And third is Julian Rodriguez, who's the founder and CEO of Momento NFT. Enjoy.
I like it a lot. So what are you saying? Like, what were the themes at Davos that would apply to what you're doing now, and how can you help further?
Sure. So this was originally I was going to the crypto finance conference, which is in St. Moritz, which is, application only. I think, it's like, I don't know, less than a 10% acceptance rate to even go to this. And it's a lot of family offices and investors that are very interested in crypto assets. So that could mean fungible tokens. It's also non-fungible tokens. So Bill and I were there for 2 reasons. One is, to meet investors, and also, there are NFT collectors there. So kind of meeting, some people that could also come into our community and kind of buy at scale are kind of 2 of the reasons. Bill also spoke on a panel. When we first started the company, 3 weeks into starting it, we auctioned off one of our Genesis monkeys, and it sold for 12.5 ETH. It was Charlie Lee and Roam from Dapper who bid it up. Roam ended up winning, and we donated those proceeds to a UNICEF project called the Gig Connect Project, which is bringing internet to schools globally. And so that project had been discussed last year. We actually helped them. We advised them on a collection that's raised called Patrick Kingdom's, raised over $700,000 for UNICEF to bring to both map connectivity and help bring connectivity to schools globally. So part of it was like kind of updating everyone at the CFC about that. And then it's also meeting, a ton of our Metagood investors were there as well. So it's kind of catching up with them. And so that was that. And then I decided to stay on my own dime, in Davos, because I was invited by Sophia Swire, who is a woman that runs a nonprofit called Future Brilliance, which was the nonprofit we partnered with to get Sharbat Gula and her family out of Afghanistan. So we used some of our training revenues and basically funded that mission. And she reached out, she saw that, and she's like, hey, do you want to come stay? We have a house and would love to spend some more time with you. So that was part of the reason, I ended up staying longer. And I was invited to speak on a panel, which was all about DAOs. And so their focus was a bit more on ESGs, which is, environmental, social, and governmental goals, which is not our focus per se. But what I was really talking about is, the power of the on-chain monkey DAO, which is, empowering our community to, start businesses, to, pursue creative endeavors and make real world impact. And so I kind of gave examples of that and how powerful it is for, a DAO, because most people, it's very new still, right? In our world, people, okay, DAO is this decentralized autonomous organization. But in the reality, when you look under the hood, a lot of DAOs are actually still quite centralized, and we are really making an effort to decentralize. So, we are very fortunate to work with the Nouns DAO infrastructure. And, for all proposals that are going through, we have all of our token holders vote, right, on these proposals. So it literally is, if you have 100 monkeys, you have 100 votes. If you have one monkey, you have one vote. But it is a democracy in that sense of how the funds are being used. We've only done one season. In the first season, we had 17 people apply to be on our small grants committee, where they literally all wrote candidate statements and spent about 3 hours on a Spaces talking about why they want to be part of small grants committee. And we had 4 people on that committee and 1 Metagood representative. I'm proud to say we hired our first OCM DAO coordinator from the DAO. So it's the first, it's basically a contractor to On-Chain Monkey DAO, not an employee of Metagood, who is now going to be, taking on the function of what was taking probably 5 people on Metagood's part-time time, kind of managing it. And he's going to be helping to interface, which he's done already a great job, interface with our community, help keep the DAO running smoothly in terms of reminding people of, when proposals are due, when voting is due, answering questions, helping people like get their DAO proposals together. If someone hasn't done one before, we'll have spaces so we can help answer questions. It's really exciting to see, like, okay, so now we have a DAO coordinator hired through the DAO. And again, we will have our next season where we will be voting, again, our holders will be voting for how the funds are being used. And then we'll have a new election of the small grants committee, where, this is for anything under 5 ETH that can be kind of smaller grants that can be done retroactively, or, if something doesn't pass kind of the larger prop house. But we still think it's something important. The small grants committee can decide, in small amounts to give some funding to certain things that we think are important.
You've seen the integration with OpenSea, right? Since November, how have you seen it bring in a large number of creators into the wider ecosystem first and empower them? How have you seen that so far? And then what further goals do you have based on, having seen what you've seen? If that makes sense.
So to return to the OpenSea kind of discussion, we definitely have seen an increase of interest in the NFT space, because for us at BNB Chain, NFTs has been something that we've been putting a lot more effort into increasing the diversity and strength of the space. And we are seeing more more interesting profiles from even a Web2 space, thinking now of coming to build either NFT collections or to build new projects and dApps that has an NFT component and then building on BNB Chain. So I would say that this partnership, definitely has gotten a lot more eyeballs, right? Has been definitely a good thing. And just from a wider perspective as well, is that our team has also again put in more resources into enabling this space. So I think definitely check on all boxes, which is that we've seen an increase in users, increase of NFT users on BNB Chain, check. Increase of interest in new creators and builders thinking about building NFTs, check. As well as these people think about building NFTs on BNB Chain. So for us, it's been exciting to have these conversations with many of these strong entrepreneurs and builders on the Web2 space. Because in our work as well, when we talk to these Web2 folks, a part of our role is also to educate people, right? Educate them about like, hey, you know, what's in Web3? How can you really leverage Web3? Why should you build Web3, and perhaps why should you not build on Web3, right? Because, you know, we almost act as semi-advisory sometimes, where these Web2 entrepreneurs that can be extremely experienced in their fields, you know, they've built companies for, you know, and serve many users, but Web3 requires a slightly different mindset, you know, definitely a different business model, especially for dealing with tokens, right? And so part of our work really is to help people transition from Web 2 to Web3 as well, both the entrepreneur side as well as the user side. And again, we've seen much more interest from that perspective. So it's been it's been very encouraging.
Awesome. So I brought that back into the equation because there are some global challenges like that are happening now and that are going to happen right at the forefront of NFTs and the metaverse and gaming, you know, expansion. What do you think that some of them are, and how are we going to navigate that?
Yeah. So for us, as I mentioned earlier, we are excited about NFT tooling. We are excited about how the intersection of NFT, cross of DeFi, you know, cross of metaverse, cross of social fi would be interesting. So at BNB Chain, we have used a term we call MetaFi. MetaFi meaning not meta in terms of metaverses, but a metadata, right? So harkening back again to what I talked about regarding the transfer of value and, you know, in earlier the open metaverse, right? Ultimately, MetaFi for us is really how, you know, the different spaces are each evolving such that the new stuff that we're going to see would be exciting. So for us, we, you know, we're going to see more, you know, again, more the different kind of GameFi projects evolving to having more sophisticated NFT strategies. We are also seeing, you know, more NFTs being in-game assets. We are seeing again more different kinds of NFT tooling, which is could be again a one-click rental, could be collateralization of NFTs to then allow you to do many other different things. Could be allowing users to do pure DeFi things, right? So collateralizing your NFT to perhaps take a loan somewhere else, right? And nothing to do in the gaming ecosystem, perhaps, right? So we're starting to see, you know, more people looking at NFTs as well. It's not just a paid JPEG, right? But as actual assets that you can then use and it's part of your property, so to speak, you know, that you can then use within a Web3 space. So I know that that's a very high level, right? Because ultimately there's many different projects building the space right now, and we have been working with many different GameFi projects specifically, and as I mentioned earlier, different kind of toolings that we're still kind of doing our due diligence on. That's why I can't mention them. But I think in a few months you will start seeing more of these names pop up more publicly from us, but not right now.
That brings me into my next question, because you've been talking about ownership and social currency and community. And how can we use these NFTs to build our communities and get that ownership of what we create? Because, you know, I mean, some people are able to do it right now, but, you know, in a decentralized world, we should all be able to do it. So how do we do it?
Yeah, so ownership is the strongest incentive for community building, right? Like if people don't feel like they own a piece of something, they don't really care about that thing, right? It's a total different level. And so that's why I was mentioning the subscription model is not enough, right? On OnlyFans, for example, you see a lot of churn, right? People will sign up for 1 month, they get the entire catalog, right? If you've been on the platform for 2 years, well, now they see 2 years of content. They can spend 1 day, you know, right-clicking and saving, and they forgot about you, right? Like they don't put it on auto renewal, they move on to the next creator. That's not a situation we want to create, because we don't believe there's real value there. But when you make a purchase decision, right, for content, and you're able to buy multiple pieces of content, it's just a better exchange for time and value creation, right? The time that the content creators spent on that one piece of content, they know how much they want back for it, right? They know how many people they want to own it, right? And so it's just a totally different metric that we believe, again, incentivizes not only the creator to make better quality content and get it out, but for the fans and the followers to, you know, collect and invest as well in that content creation. So, you know, we'll also be launching a token next year to incentivize even more the way that you build your community in Web3, right? So you can imagine everything from, so we want to allow the creator to recruit members in their community for growth, right? Hey, you know, and we saw a very popular, controversial influencer actually do that about 6 months now. This guy, Andrew Tate, which, you know, I don't agree with pretty much anything he says, but we've all seen him, right? And a lot of people are like, wow, how did he do this? All he did was recruit members in his community to pretend they were him, right? They're using his brand and proliferating that, right? And so that's something that, for whatever reason, is something so simple, for whatever reason, no one on the internet has done before, right? And so the algorithms don't have an answer for that, right? So that's why they try to ban him widespread, but they banned his profile. He doesn't do anything on his profile, right? He employed his community to do this for him. And so, right, I think that's, oh man, that's like a 101 strategy from now on for content creators going forward, right? And so we're going to empower the ability to do things like that to employ your community. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, we're gonna throw all of those things in your pocket. So we're gonna see how this generation makes the internet a little funner, right? Because I think a lot of these mega platforms, these mega Web2 platforms, have really made the internet not as fun. And to me, it's really like, in terms of what the internet was like early 2000s, right? It was really green pastures, right? And there are ways to handle, I think, you know, abusive content, negative content, right? And conversation, but I don't think it's the way that has been handled so far. To me, the way things have been handled so far is more akin to censorship and authoritarianism than it is, right? Just right, like it's weird. It's weird, and I don't believe that that's the foundation of what the internet was. Because me and you can remember what the internet was like when it started, right? And I would hate for the internet to not be like that anymore, right? This idea that, right, you can get sort of in trouble or, you know, take the wrong corner on the internet, to me is ludicrous. I think there's certain things that the, you know, administrators of a platform can do but not be so heavy-handed that people feel like they can't even express themselves, right? And I see a lot of that on like Reddit, for example. I absolutely hate Reddit. Reddit took over from what traditional BB forums were, right? The grayscale bulletin board forums. And before that, IRC chat probably, right? But IRC chat was definitely like the Wild Wild West. But, you know, and I think today, really what you see on Reddit, for example, is whoever, yeah, I guess, put up the R channel, or whoever is the moderator, only what they want to be posted is what's seen, right? So if you know, it's supposed to be a place where people can go to get information and participate in conversation. But if you're just saying something that the moderator does not like, no one sees it, right? And so I don't think that is what the internet was designed for. And I don't think it helps humanity in general in what it means to, right? Because I look to the internet to learn about the world around me, right? And if now what I'm seeing is a sort of, you know, whitewashed carbon copy of the real world, that's just not good enough for me.